but we didn't have time to celebrate as the net was closing in. Sadiq looked at me with regret and told me his ankle was likely fractured and had swollen badly. He insisted that I leave him behind and save myself, arguing that one soldier returning home was better than two dying in the woods. I refused to listen and told him to lean on me so we could try to make a run for it. He called me a fool for wasting time, but I reminded him that the military spends too much money training a sniper to leave a comrade. Dios. The ghillie suit I was wearing felt incredibly heavy and made every single movement a struggle, but it was an absolute necessity for survival in this terrain. Originally used by Scottish gamekeepers to catch poachers on royal lands, these suits allow a person to remain perfectly still and invisible in the brush, waiting for the right moment to strike. Today, snipers use this same principle to vanish into their surroundings and adapt. I kept moving without taking the suit off because the sooner I cleared this hostile area, the better my chances of survival were. It was only a matter of time before the enemy cordoned off the entire perimeter, and if I were captured, I didn't need a genius to tell me what kind of brutal end awaited me. I chose the path near the spring, stopped briefly to drink my fill, refilled my water bottle, and then pushed forward as fast as possible. Since I wasn't following any set trail, I kept a constant eye on my compass to stay on course while navigating the rugged ground. After trekking 3 kilometers through uneven terrain, I reached a dry ravine that had become deep due to erosion from past rains, with rocks of all sizes scattered across its bed. While the edges were lined with thickets, the center was dangerously exposed and sat right under the gaze of an enemy sector post. I dropped into the brush and pulled out my binoculars to scan the area, where the activity at the base confirmed that news of Brigadier Prakash's fate had reached them. A squad of fully armed soldiers began descending toward the ravine while another squad headed toward the upper ridge. It was a stroke of luck that I had moved as fast as I did because any delay would have led to a direct confrontation where I would be a dead man. I had no choice but to stay hidden, so I stowed my binoculars and crawled deeper into the thicket, pressing myself against the base of a shrub. I lay there completely motionless, to the point where I couldn't even hear the sound of my own breathing anymore. It wasn't long before I heard voices speaking a mix of Punjabi and Hindi as they drew closer, and ants began crawling all over my body, biting me without any mercy at all. There were at least 8 to 10 of them moving in pairs with their weapons drawn and ready for combat at a moment's notice. One soldier remarked that he was glad to be rid of Brigadier Prakash, calling him a constant headache, though he admitted that Colonel Jagjit Singh was a good man. They talked about cordoning off the entire sector and calling in commando platoons for a full sweep of the area to find anyone who was hiding. Suddenly, a soldier named Suresh stopped right by the bushes where I was hiding and told his partner he needed a minute because his stomach was upset. His friend laughed and told him to hurry up, then kept walking while Suresh began unbuckling his gear to relieve himself right there. He was facing directly toward me, but I had become a part of the bush itself, lying perfectly still like a ghost as his eyes scanned the trail. The controller ordered all units to converge on the White Ravine immediately. I switched off the stolen walkie-talkie to save battery, knowing that even with a spare, I had to be smart about communication. Every second counts when you are about to be trapped like a rat in a cage. If the enemy surrounded this forest, both I and Ustad Sadiq would be dead men. I moved quickly, trekking for another kilometer before checking my compass. I finally spotted the landmark I had marked earlier, a tree with a specific notch carved into its trunk. From there, I identified a canopy-shaped tree hiding toward the east and a lightning-struck cedar that had been split in half. These markers guided me through the dense woods. It took me another 20 minutes of careful navigation to reach the exact spot where I had left Ustad Sadiq. Time was running out and I had to be careful. Suddenly I heard his voice. "I'm over here." It felt like a breath of fresh air. I scanned the area where the trees were so tightly intertwined they looked like one massive wall of green. If he hadn't spoken, I never would have found him. I climbed into the thicket and saw his face, but he looked pale. He immediately asked about the mission and I told him it was a success, but we didn't have time to celebrate as the net was closing in. Sadiq looked at me with regret and told me his ankle was likely fractured and had swollen badly. He insisted that I leave him behind and save myself, arguing that one soldier returning home was better than two dying in the woods. I refused to listen and told him to lean on me so we could try to make a run for it. He called me a fool for wasting time, but I reminded him that the military spends too much money training a sniper to leave a comrade. The controller was repeatedly warning his men to move with extreme caution because they were tightening the net around a sniper who had already neutralized 9 of their soldiers. Sajid signaled me to turn off the radio to save the battery, even though I had a spare one with me. Darkness was now swallowing the mountains, and I figured they wouldn't risk entering the forest at night. If their cordon was complete, they would wait for dawn. Sajid pointed out that waiting all night was actually a disadvantage for them because they only suspected we were in this forest. And in this game, suspicions can often be wrong. I checked our water supply and realized my bottle was still full. But we had to be careful since we didn't know how long we would be trapped. While I knew where the springs were, they were too far away, and finding small hidden springs in this terrain was impossible. I offered Sajid some high-energy biscuits from my pack, the kind that can sustain a soldier for 24 hours. As we ate, I thought about our escape routes. To the east, the mountains turned into sheer vertical cliffs which were impossible to climb without professional gear. To the west, the enemy had multiple posts and a sector headquarters with alert sentries, making a breakout in that direction a suicidal mission for both of us. The northern route was just as bad, consisting of the main road and the open white ravine, both of which were like an open book to the enemy. That left the southern side, but the enemy could monitor every inch of it with ease. Sajid told me he wasn't trying to discourage me, just analyzing the cold, hard reality of our situation. After eating, I handed him my water bottle, and he remarked on how sweet and refreshing the spring water was. I told Sajid to get some rest because tomorrow we wouldn't have a single second of peace. Before lying down, I checked his injury. His ankle was severely swollen, and the inflammation was spreading up his calf. This was a serious wound that only a hospital could properly treat. I returned to my spot and closed my eyes, but despite my exhaustion, sleep was hard to find. This was my first real mission, and the weight of the situation kept me awake. Throughout the night, I kept waking up and checking the walkie-talkie for any signs of movement. Most of the time, there was only silence, occasionally broken by the controller's all-is-well signal to the various outposts. The enemy was waiting for the sun to rise so they could begin their systematic sweep. We were the prey, and the forest was our only shield. Please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for more updates.